Back live again at Mjbizcon. Man, he really pumps me up. He gets me like excited. Back live at Mjbizcon.
Ready to rumble.
With our producer with the most is Eric, of course. But my name is Dimitri Downing. And wow, what a, how long, you guys been here since Tuesday?
Yeah, we rolled in Tuesday.
It is like a lifetime that you lead here in like 3 days at Mjbizcon.
Absolutely.
You know, with all the people walking around, all the conversations, all the parties, all the speakers, all the conferences, it really is quite a major event. But I'm here with my buddies, new buddies, Jess and Chris from Cannascape.
Good morning. Thanks for having us, Dimitri.
Well, let's first, before we get into what Cannascape is, what's your experience with the show? How are you guys?
It's been a lot of fun. I think our booth doesn't get the traffic we wanted, but I would say the delight has been just meeting people and having light bulbs go off on everybody connecting and figuring out how to help each other. It's been terrific.
We just got a couple of testimonials from the booths surrounding the iSpire booths who are like, you guys, thank you for being here because you bring in all the people.
The foot the foot
Absolutely. It's been an amazing experience.
And how's your Mjbizcon experience?
Amazing. It's the first one. I have gotten my 10,000 steps in almost every day, walking around and engaging with folks, and it's been a pleasure. And I really like the products we've seen, and I really like the relationships we're building.
So how did you guys get into the cannabis space?
I think Chris's venture and story will be different than mine. We had a pleasure of meeting a couple years ago, but I've been in coffee since '87.
Coffee since '87. Oh,
and I've been on all sides of the coffee business. And the true story is during COVID, I'm sitting in my office and my son walks in at 19 and says, "Dad, everything you do for coffee storage applies to cannabis." And he sat down and he gave me a lesson, which was a surprise in itself that I didn't know he enjoyed cannabis. And for the last 2 years, we've had the pleasure of really taking some of the technology that applies and then enhancing our technology and storing cannabis with Chris's invention and patent and a couple others. And we really think we're onto something in helping folks store cannabis both from the grower all the way to the consumer.
And we'll get into your products. And
but that's how I got in it. Is my son surprised me at.
How old was he?
He was 19 at the time. Yeah, and
Is he part of the company?
Does
he own the company?
No, he helped with development. But
and by the way, you're going to be a small percentage owner in the company, Dad.
If I get hit by a bus, he's going to own the company.
Okay.
Right, for sure.
Yeah, well, you know, ideas are only worth so much, right?
Right.
Sorry, son. I'm just kidding. Chris, how did you get involved in cannabis?
Well, I've used cannabis on and off for many years.
Say it ain't so.
But I've been a mental health professional for 34 years. And, I've always knew that there was some use for the product in that industry, right? And how this came about is I eventually got into the cannabis industry on the flower side in Oakland. But there was a lot of headaches with that. And so I pulled aside from my partner and said, hey, I want to do some ancillary product stuff, and I want to come up with a better way to preserve the product. Specifically at that time, my mother was going through a lot of medical issues. I saw how cannabis was being stored in these warehouses, and it wasn't about pointing the finger. It was more about coming up with ideas and solutions to support the cultivators. And so the idea came from there on, let's make it easy for the consumer, retailer, and cultivator to use a system where they can store their cannabis. So that was the idea of how can we have it ready for consumers to be able to take home from the shops, the cannabis retails, and store it just like the bigger industries do.
Right, and so you're targeting like a certain part of the supply chain distribution stuff in the storage.
Absolutely.
Because cannabis is stored in lots of different ways at different moments.
Exactly.
Large scale. So are you guys particularly focused on the consumer?
Well,
experience?
that's a good answer. I mean, the technology, you don't know exactly, and the technology that Chris had and what we'd already had, we're trying to go from grower all the way to consumer.
All the way.
And, as soon as we curate cannabis, we're on the clock. And the same as soon as you roast coffee, you're on the clock.
Yeah.
And if we can help save the terps and keep THC levels all the way through to the consumer, so what he or she is buying at the store, at the dispensary, is as good as the gentleman that grew it at the farm and is so proud of it. We want it to be stored correctly.
Yeah,
and we have pack sizes for all. So.
And we're going to get into your different products. I just want to talk a little bit about me for a second.
Well, let's talk about Dimitri.
Go ahead, Dimitri.
No, my family has a big history in the coffee space. You know, my dad was one of the Mexican coffee experts during the 70s and 80s, and spent a lot of time in Colombia. And recently, the price of coffee farms has gone down for the Americans because the Colombian peso has dropped in half. So now is the time to buy land in Colombia in case.
Colombia.
Yeah, because of the inflation, the price of the real estate hasn't risen up yet. It's going up, but the peso dropped so fast. It's an inverse relationship kind of thing. Anyways, if you like coffee, now it's time to buy coffee. And also, Colombia has a medical program for cannabis, and they're soon to go adult use.
Very good.
They're very pro exportation, and when all that happens, it's going to be interesting what goes down there.
It's an exciting time in the world for everything, right?
Quick side note about Colombia, cannabis, and coffee. So let's talk about a little bit about the innovation of the product. That came from you?
Yes, that was, there's a portion of it that came from me, and when I met up with Jess, they had the perfect cleansing system and container that I thought the integration of the ideas would be a perfect match.
So how did you guys find each other?
Well, you know, I was turned down by 37 different folks when I brought this idea to them, and it might have been because of competition. I was going to launch on my own, and I found that hard to do after a while, and then maybe my 38th time, I had found Jess's company, but I kept it in my back pocket. And at some point, I realized that I got enough on my shoulders in terms of this 8 pounds weight on my head, and my head's not big. I said, I think it's absolutely the best thing to do is collaborate with someone. So I took it out of my back pocket, called Jess. We met in Los Angeles or LA area, and we were off and running.
With my son.
With your son, and we're off and running.
Yes. He has some role in all this.
Yeah.
I'm convinced your son owns a business. I'm just kidding.
That's all right, Dimitri.
No, I'm an idea guy, so much love. What's your son's name?
Heath, like a candy bar.
I'm your friend.
And I'm your dad, and I'm proud of you.
I have given so many ideas, so many opportunities, so many partnerships, I've done so much in this industry, and it's interesting because I enjoy that, and that to me is a sense of wealth and richness. But it's always interesting to see that.
That's where I'm at in my life, and I think Chris is like-minded. It's the fun part now of helping people. Yeah. But if I show you this, this will kind of talk to technology. So we have all kinds of vessels and delivery systems, but the technology's in this lid. And when we were just doing coffee, we had a two-way valve plunger system. And then Chris came to us, and with his patent on integrating and inserting a gas into a vessel, an existing vessel, we call that the fresh port. So we insert argon gas. And then we also added a valve that's a degassing valve. So when you push this plunger down to the flower, we're eliminating excess oxygen.
Yep.
We lock it in place. We take pressurized.
So it's locked right now.
It's locked.
So where's the argon gas?
Right here in this convenient consumer pack. And I take this red tube and I insert it in the fresh port, which I know is hard for folks to see. And I give it a 2-second burst with this argon gas. And what that does is it displaces the oxygen and it puts like a marine layer, is the best way Chris and I can explain it, over the flower. And we've done 60-day tests to date, and we've saved the terps and we've kept THC levels consistent in a 60-day storing. And that's the beauty of the cannabis industry for me, is it's 100% objective. We can get all the lab tests where coffee or wine, it's a subjective thing, and we can back all of our technology with data, which I really enjoy. You have to have that open.
No. I have a little bit of an engineering background here. I couldn't figure this out at first, but I want to ask you a question. So once you pressurize it in there, and it closes there, when you lift up here, does it release the pressure?
If there's any excess CO2, it would release the pressure, but all of that, we also have this valve there on the right that's a degassing valve, so there shouldn't be any excess pressure.
But like when you're pulling this out,
you're just forming a light vacuum there.
Light vacuum.
Yes.
Okay, I was just trying to figure that out because it seems like I don't want to improve your product.
You can do it right now, Dimitri.
No, but I'm just saying, like, as you release it somehow, if there are some ways that release the pressure, so this came out smoother. Although this actually, I've seen other ones
because this
of these, but they don't have. This is actually really smooth, so you probably don't even need that.
Yeah.
That's nice because whatever, it's all good. Just thinking about that.
Yeah, you can see, Dimitri, that we
like
expanded the IPs across other
formats.
So this is a mason jar because everyone has collections of mason jars they don't want to get rid of. So we came up with the idea of a cap to put on there, and the same process occurs.
So we have a pack there, a belt loop that could either be for Integra or for Boveda pack, and then we also we can flush that with the fresh port and have a degassing valve. So it's taking ubiquitous products, not adding more packaging to this supply chain, and doing it.
Yeah,
and we did the same. If you had a 5-gallon, 3-gallon, 7-gallon bucket, you could do the same with this plunger.
Now we're talking about the beginning of the supply chain.
And we go bigger and bigger. Yeah. So we didn't bring it all. We didn't bring it over.
I like weird, quirky facts. How big?
Well, right now you have, and correct me if I'm wrong about the
5,000-gallon lid.
Barrels.
30,
no.
We've gone as far as a 32-gallon brute barrel.
Yes.
32-gallon. Okay.
32-gallon brute barrel, and we do that Costco tote.
We do the totes that are widely used in the cannabis industry.
Right. What are those 5-gallon totes? Right?
So we have a cover over it. That's a 24 liter.
Yeah,
24 liter.
24 liter. 5-gallon though, right?
No. It's cannabis is so interesting because we do
Americans
gallons
here. God's sake. You guys speaking in liters?
I'm trying to be hip, man.
Yeah, Australians are like my English people.
I'm trying to be as hip as I can.
In America, we speak in gallons. Let's get 24 liter.
Yeah. But you know those cannabis square totes that are in the growers, we have a lid that'll go over there and we can flush it and do all the same things. So it's pretty fun.
Cool. I like it. And so argon gas is safe with the product, with the cannabis plant?
I tell you, Dimitri, honestly, Chris and I were down.
Because that's going to, people say, argon, what's it going to do to my cannabis?
Well, there's all the gases that occur naturally, right? And argon is the fourth most common gas. It's an inert gas.
I think something just fell back there.
And it's a tasteless smell. It doesn't smell, and it doesn't change any of the profile of coffee or cannabis or wine.
And
it's
similar,
a beautiful gas.
And they use nitrogen in all these industries, potato chips, coffee, you name it. It's the same. It's a combination of what makes up our oxygen anyway.
But we like argon because it's a heavier molecular, and it sits and pours that layer over the flour.
Wraps those trichomes.
So they put a little gas in the potato chips?
Your Lay's potato chips, yeah. When you open them, Dimitri, we all roll them up back the same way with oxygen in them, sticking there 3 days later, they don't taste the same.
Right.
You got a bag? Let's try it.
And so coffee gets nitrogen flushed, potatoes get nitrogen flushed, all that stuff. And so as soon as you open that bag from the dispensary, we're all on the clock.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. But if you're a smart company, and you might want to just sell your product in this.
So we've had many conversations with retailers about that.
Because that's how much does this cost? About a few dollars. Add that. Your cannabis comes like this.
I want you to put that out to all the retail stores.
I do.
Because we've talked that way for a couple of years now about the benefit of them selling it a whole product like that.
I bought a joint recently in California, and it was in it, and I always use this as my example. It was in a glass tube, in a box, in 2 plastic bags. And we're just trying to eliminate packaging anywhere we can. And
that's big.
And maintain.
Waste is big in the industry right
maintain
now.
Profiles.
Yeah.
No, this is fantastic. I really, really like it. So,
and and Dimitri too, one of the largest consumers, right, in the medical marijuana are people 40 to 60, 70 years old. They don't want to be going back and forth to the store, but we want proper preservation of the product because we know how important the terpene profile is, as well as other things, and how it can mitigate any of our problems, for us who are in the cannabis industry. And so to store it properly like that, and it's guaranteed to mitigate your pain in the same way it did when you bought your cannabis at day one. It's really important for people who are suffering and have different elements. Yeah.
I think, I'll add to that. When I was talking with Luna earlier, she said we spend all this time and money in growing and marketing and everything, and no one's really focused on that storage end. And we just love the space, and we'd love to contribute any way we can.
Absolutely.
No, it's very cool. It's really been a pleasure to meet you. Now, how do people find you guys?
They can find us hopefully on social media, on Cannascape.co, and we're here at the show as well, and we'd love to. We're open for all ideas, and we've had a great time here. So.
Yeah.
What's your social media?
Cannascape.co.
Cannascape.co, it's right on.
What about like Instagram or LinkedIn? People love LinkedIn in the cannabis industry,
They do.
It's terrific. They can find me, Jess Nepstad, on LinkedIn, and I'm open for anybody reaching out.
Christopher Carlos-Wallace, LinkedIn.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's always seems to be the best way to get a hold of people. All right, well, cool. Well, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to having you guys back next year at Mjbizcon 2023.
Thank
at the Aspire booth, and we'll get an update as how you guys are doing.
Dimitri, I'd love to get you some coffee gear and some cannabis gear, so just let me know.
No, I appreciate that. I actually like your guys', I was going to say your hat, but I need another hat.
Well, we could get you a hat, too, if you want a hat.
Well,
I didn't know you were so hard up, brother.
We get you a jar, Dimitri.
I'll take the vest. I'll take the shoes.
Oh, okay, well.
No, his shoes rock.
Everybody's always giving me stuff, but I did notice your shoes. I'm just kidding. All right.
Whatever you want. Thanks, man.
Media Unshackled.
Thank you.